My name's Joshua Litwin. I graduated from Litchfield in 2003. I just recently returned from the Peace Corps serving in Mali, West Africa for 2 years. I was an environment volunteer, so I worked with local community groups in a small rural village in Mali. I was really motivated to join the Peace Corps because it would provide an opportunity to travel, see and live with a completely different culture. It was also a great opportunity to develop some of my professional skills and to give back and to serve others. After receiving my degree in political science from the University of Connecticut, um, I did some other service programs, but eventually I did the Peace Corps. Well, I arrived in Mali at nighttime with my whole training group, so it was still very dark, but we got into the airport and it was crowded, kind of chaotic, hot. It gets up to over 100 degrees there. Um, but the staff met us there. We got our bags, and we were taken to our training center where we were going to start off. And along the road, there wasn't a lot of lights. There was campfires, people drinking tea out by the side of the road. So it was a totally different experience. The top 10 poorest countries in the world. In rural Mali, they don't have electricity or running water. The villagers live in, huts made of mud bricks with thatch roofs. Some people can afford cement houses with tin roofs, but daily life just takes place. The women, wake up and do all the cooking. They have to pound all the millet that they use for their food. They do all their clothes by hand. The men do all the work in the fields. They are mostly subsistence farmers, so everything they grow, they eat. The official language in Mali is French, of course, but the local language that's spoken, most widely by 80% of Malians is Bambara. So I actually spoke Bambara. I wish I picked up more French. I have some French, but so I could get by on the local language. There's also other minority languages, which some of my friends ended up speaking in their villages. After the first three months, I had a basic handle on the language, but I just had to build my vocabulary after that. So about 6 months in, I could get most things across. It takes a lot of courage, and it's really hard to go to a completely new culture and learn their language and customs. And so I was assigned as an environment volunteer, which meant I was working with farmers on agricultural projects and local women's groups, for example, building community gardens so they could have a source of income and provide more nutritious food for their families. There was also 4 other sectors: health, education, small business, and water and sanitation. So Peace Corps, their philosophy is to help local communities design their own projects that are community-led, that are small and can be reproduced easily, and will hopefully be sustainable and last, well on past when the volunteer leaves. I did volunteer at a local farm in Kent, Connecticut, and that really gave me a great basis to start my service. I learned kind of about different crops and fertilizers and crop rotations, which was really helpful for my service. I was there from July 2009 until recently, this August 2011, and it was 2 years of intensive cross-cultural language and technical training, and then 2 years of service. If I had unlimited money and I could help Mali out, I would probably invest in the school system, because I think that's the key to everything. If Malians themselves can have the critical thinking skills and the education to solve their own problems, I think that would be the best solution. I think there's every NGO in the world in Mali right now establishing development projects, but some of them don't work, some do work, but I think the Malians themselves, know what's best. Predominantly Islamic country, so in my village, the mosque was kind of the central focus in the center of the village. They had the call to prayer 5 times a day, so one of which was around 4:30 in the a.m. Sometimes I woke up to that, but it's an amazing religion. A lot of it's about helping your neighbor. and your devotion to Allah, to God. I was able to partake in some of the big holidays, Tabaski, and also Ramadan is just ending, I believe, now. So when I left my village, a lot of people were fasting, actually. They'd have their breakfast early in the morning before sunrise, and then break fast at sundown. But it's tough. It's farming season now, so they're out in their fields and they're not drinking water and they're not eating. So it's tough. I think Islam, gets a bad rap, with everything that's going on in the world. But Malians are the most incredibly welcoming and amazing people. They have kind of this Jatigi culture, which means kind of hospitality or host. So I was given a host family. I ate 2 out of my 3 meals with my host family. They became, just like a real family to me. All the community leaders and neighbors, they were really helpful and just making sure I have everything I needed, helping me start projects and meet key people in village, showing me around the village. So they were really helpful in getting me adjusted. Mali is a stable democracy. Atete Amadou Toumani Traoré is the current president, although they'll have elections in 2012. They've had a constitutional democracy, and it's fairly stable. And at some points in my service, I felt like kind of the world was falling down around me, because you had kind of a crisis in Guinea. You had another kind of civil war going on in Côte d'Ivoire. Niger, Peace Corps pulled out of Niger for security reasons. There's been some kidnappings by groups affiliated with Al Qaeda, up in the northern Sahara regions. But in Mali, the south is very secure, and it's kind of only some isolated areas in the north that are troublesome. I would definitely go back to Mali again. I think I need a little break. It's tough living, but I told my friends and villagers that hopefully I'll be back in the future to see how everyone's doing. I'm looking to move down to DC and either work for the government or continue in the international development field. I'm looking at applying to jobs with USAID contractors who implement development projects all over the world. I kept a journal while I was there. I'd love to do some more writing now that I'm back and kind of capture all the experiences that I had. Believe it or not, there is internet over there. Pretty much in every major city in Mali, we had a volunteer house where we could pass through and spend a few nights and go on Facebook, email friends and family back home, work on projects, do some research for whatever we needed. We had cell phones. We bought a SIM card, and they had prepaid minutes that we bought. So we would text back and forth constantly and keep in touch with the Peace Corps staff in Bamako. They're building cell phone towers like crazy. They have Orange, which is a French wireless carrier, and then they have Malitel, which is West African based. The Peace Corps just put in kind of this satellite internet for security reasons and to help keep us connected. So that was really nice. The internet's fairly fast, not as fast as here, but Mali's biggest exports are agricultural products and livestock. They have some gold mining going on. There's some Canadian and South African companies, and of course a lot of my host brothers are involved in the big gold rush, going over there and mining for gold as a way to get income that's easier than working out in the field. Mali, it's a tough country. There's not a lot of resources, but I think in the future, hopefully, now that they have a stable government, they can start improving things, and I can see that already. I mean, Bamako, the capital city, has grown exponentially. The Chinese are developing the road systems, and they just created a new overpass in the city. But I just hope that extends out into the rural areas, like my village, which still doesn't have a paved road. So in the rainy season, it's really difficult to get out there, and also doesn't have electricity. There are some pumps, and hopefully, things like water towers and fountains will follow that. Um, and there's a good school system, but there's still a ways to go. I would love to speak to any community groups that are interested in hearing about my experience as a Peace Corps volunteer. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to talk to them and get them involved and talk about the application process. Before I went, I didn't even know exactly where Mali was. It's actually where Timbuktu's located, believe it or not. Where the ancient gold and trading routes were in the Sahara Desert that went up to Europe. Now it's kind of a sandy town, but living in a developing country for 2 years was just incredibly eye-opening. We are so fortunate where we live, all the amenities that we have here in America, and I realized where, just I learned about how simple things like peanuts are grown and how they're processed, and where shea butter comes from. Shea was actually there's a lot of shea trees in my village, and hopefully that's one of the things that Mali can develop in the future, because there's a big market for that in Europe. And just personally, I think I'm able to handle any situation. Hopefully now, having been on 18-hour bus rides where the tire breaks down, and figuring out how to keep people motivated in a small village where they're just worried about survival. I gained some great professional skills, developing projects, managing budgets, working with community groups, and I wouldn't change my service for everything. They call it the toughest job you'll ever love, and that was definitely true. There's some really low moments and some really high moments, and but overall, it was incredible.